Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present our work at the great symposium. I'm very excited to be here. I'm Lilian Nkengla. I work for Oxfam America as a senior advisor for agriculture and markets. And I would like to acknowledge that this was teamwork led by myself, while at IITA and also by my colleague Arman Omondi from Bioversity International. So I will start my presentation by giving a brief introduction and then explaining the methods we use in collecting our data, then the results and the conclusion. The title of my presentation is Gender Dynamics in Banana Seed Systems and Impact on Banana Bunchy Top Disease Recovery in Cameroon. So banana is a major income and food security crop for smallholder farmers in Africa and Cameroon in particular, and men and women play major roles in banana production and have different opportunities as well as face several challenges in the production process. Some of these challenges include limited access to productive resources such as land and also seeds and information services. The spread of banana bunchy top disease has only exacerbated these challenges. It is worth noting that IITA, in collaboration with Bioversity International, had been managing a project in 9 countries in sub-Saharan Africa to contain this disease, and Cameroon is one of the pilot countries. About 6 to 12 million smallholder farmers are affected in sub-Saharan Africa as a result of the widespread of BBTD. The BBTD containment program in Cameroon was implemented in Ambam district and required a community-wide approach, including men and women farmers. Thus, understanding the gender roles of men and women in banana seed multiplication, selection, distribution is fundamental to the success of a healthy varietal distribution and banana production as a whole. Thus, this study aims to investigate the gender differences in access to and decision-making over banana production resources and services in BBTD affected areas in Cameroon. The methods used included quantitative and qualitative methods, and the tools for quantitative included intra-household survey, where we interviewed men and women within the household in parallel. We also had qualitative tools such as focus group discussions, where we organized sex disaggregated focus groups, seasonal activity calendars, and casual observations. The goal of this was to identify gender roles in the banana seed systems, identify the varietal preferences for men and women, and also to identify patterns and relationships within households and among households in the communities. Based on the data collected, the results on gendered access to productive resources as seen in these figures show that women were mainly involved in seed sourcing for their fields and that of their spouses. And this was a characteristic of a good wife in the communities. It also shows that men were more likely to buy planting materials compared to women. Also, women were more likely to source seeds from their neighbors and relatives than men were. The results on gender access to information services show that men and women receive agricultural related information from formal as well as informal sources. The formal sources include research institutions, NGOs, and extension services. And the informal sources include families, social groups, farmers, as well as neighbors. The results also indicate that unlike men, women had limited access to formal advisory services in all 3 communities. And also women indicated that banana production groups were a better way to access extension advisory services. Responses from the community actually indicated that due to the numerous household chores done by women, they had limited access to extracurricular activities. And also, they also indicated that it is perceived in these villages that Meetings are mostly the responsibility of men unless women are specifically invited to attend these meetings. And regarding the results on gender productive resources and diversity, which include varietal preferences, the results showed that both men and women preferred varieties that were commercially oriented, which means their preferred varieties were market driven. And these were Ebang and Niat varieties. Generally, in these communities, the differences in varietal preferences for men and women was very minimal. The figure below also shows the locations where banana was produced in these communities. Banana was produced in virgin forest, secondary forest, and backyard or homesteads. And results show that access to land for production of banana was gender linked. Men were found to produce more in virgin forests, and they were found to have larger farm sizes and had the potential to have high yields due to the fertility of the virgin forest, compared to women who produce more in backyard gardens and secondary forests, which were more exposed to the spread of the BBTD. Also, there was contrast in decision making, as we saw that women made decisions regarding where in the virgin forest the men were to develop their fields. According to responses, women were more knowledgeable and had indigenous knowledge, which helped them determine where it was more fertile and appropriate for banana fields to be developed, especially in the virgin forest. Regarding the result on gender decision-making in banana seed systems, the results showed that decision-making by men and women farmers is linked to their production rules. This means that men tend to make decisions related to the activities they perform along the banana value chain, and women likewise. The results also showed that men and women reported that most decisions were taken by the other gender group. And regarding perceptions and decision making in the banana seed systems, as seen in this graph, we summarize the perceptions of men and women in the three communities on two scales. The vertical scale represents the extent to which decisions were made jointly. To the extreme left, we have the level to which decisions were taken by men. And to the extreme right, we have the level to which decisions were taken by women. As seen in the highlighted areas, some decisions were thought to be taken by men. Some decisions were thought to be taken by men, by both men and women respondents. And some decisions were thought to be jointly taken by another group and not by the other. Also, we saw that with some decisions, the men as well as the women thought that each other had control. In a nutshell, based on this graph, we would say that the level of decision making needs to be mapped out and also needs to be relevant to specific activities. These activities in interventions may have to be evaluated independently in terms of inputs, control, and benefits to the different gender groups regarding family resources to ensure that both men and women have a fair share. In conclusion, the study showed gender differences in access to and decision-making over banana production resources and services. The study also showed that men have more access to and control of household productive resources compared to men. It revealed contradictions between how men and women perceive their roles in decision-making. Complementary roles and potential new roles emanating from BBTD management in the banana value chain are likely to create new opportunities to influence gender relations in banana production. And lastly, achieving gender equity outcomes will require a gender-responsive policy and extension engagement that makes use of existing women's networks, their preferences and means of information sharing, and control of productive resources. Thank you very much for listening.